So revelations from today's testimony by the director of the Federal Bureau of Prisons, you heard there, saying the FBI investigators are looking into whether or not a, quote, criminal enterprise may have played a role in Epstein's death. Comes as key lawmakers double down, calling on ABC News to answer questions about what it knew about the Epstein case, whether they ever contacted authorities, and why the story never made air. Joining me now, ranking Republican member of the House Judiciary Committee, Congressman Doug Collins, who has been publicly demanding answers on the Epstein case for months now. Good to have you with us.
I'm glad to be with you, Shannon.
Okay, so you, way back in August, wrote a letter to then acting director of the Bureau of Prisons, asking for answers by August 21st. A lot of questions people have about this case. Have you gotten any answers?
No, we have not gotten questions. And I think this just builds on the problem that we're seeing here. And we understand investigations and we understand that you need to look into it. But there's a lot of people, when you look at this situation and now we see the charges being made against these guards about, not diligent in their job, falsifying records, doing this kind of stuff, it just raises the question because this looks so, for such a high profile case of a known predator, one that was there that everybody knew was in jail, to have this actually happen, it really reeks of, was this just simply a suicide or was there other things involved here? And I think this is what has to be gotten involved down to the bottom. The black eye that she spoke of today was more than a black eye. It was just a black mark on the Bureau of Prisons, and they've got to get to the bottom of this.
Okay, the guards union says that simply assigning blame will not correct the staff shortages that put this chain of events in place. It's clear to us that these indictments are a mask to cover up the true issues and merely be able to create a narrative that government has taken action. They're not buying it.
No, I mean, think about this. They're just, pointing at others, for their own workers' non-ability to do their jobs. But even if he had committed suicide, they didn't do anything for 8 hours. They never checked on him. They never did what we're seeing is being accused here of doing what they're supposed to every 15 minutes. So they're simply here. This is a union protecting their workers, but they really don't have a basis here because what they're seeing here is what we've seen allegedly happen is they didn't do their job. That's not being part of a prison guard that is doing what they're supposed to be. That's not due diligence. This is negligence is what we're looking at here.
Well, ongoing investigation, so hopefully we'll get a lot more answers because we all have questions about exactly what happened there. I want to turn now to the third day of public hearings now on the House Democrats' impeachment push today. I want to play something from Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, who testified today.
It was inappropriate. It was improper for the president to request and to demand an investigation into a political opponent, especially a foreign power.
Okay, so that's his assessment of the phone call the president had with Ukraine's president.
I think Lieutenant Colonel Vindman is pretty amazing. I mean, you look at it today, he actually had to go back in and actually change his sort of resume. I mean, he said, like, I'm the direct, responsibility for Ukraine to the president. He's never talked to the president. It's his job to coordinate stuff, get the paperwork. But I think the thing that we're seeing in these hearings over the past 3 days is what has amazed me. You saw it last week in the hearing with Taylor and Kent. You're now seeing it with Vindman and others. These are career bureaucrats or workers who believe that their experience is what should be paramount, not the president and not the senior advisors who have direct access to the Ukraine, the direct access to the leaders, and that the president's supposedly not to be setting the policy. For his statement there that he didn't like what the president did, notice he never said anything wrong. He said, I didn't like this. And this is the kind of playground stuff that you say, I don't like what Susie did to me, so I'm going to get her in trouble. This is the problem with the Democrats' argument. They have nothing that the president did wrong, but we have a policy dispute being broke out here because Vindman's boss, Mr. Morrison, and others said there was nothing wrong with this call. In fact, that they both, Volker said that I was the part in charge of it, and that's the part that we're looking for now, is if the ones who were actually having the direct contact said there's no problem, then, we're taking sideshow people like Vindman and others who just don't like the policy and, frankly, don't like the president.
Okay, so will votes be shifted on the House side when it comes down to it? Because, of course, articles of impeachment has to go now through your committee, the House Judiciary Committee. There are 31 Democrats we know who are in. They won election last time. They were in districts that were won by President Trump in 2016. Where do they vote next time? Because you had 2 Democrats cross over and vote with you against proceeding with this whole thing. But you're going to need a lot more votes than that to stop impeachment.
Right. I think, look, Nancy Pelosi is an excellent vote counter, and she doesn't like this president. But there's going to be a real test of mettle, if you would, for these 31 in those districts. We already have 2 who know what they're going to vote, and they're going to stick that way. But the rest of them are going to have to then go back to the American people that they elected them in their districts and say, I voted to overturn 63 million votes for a president of the United States based on people who didn't like his policies, who didn't like him. And when we make our argument in judiciary and as we made our case in Intel, this started in November of 2016. We have been hearing impeachment since before the president was ever sworn in. They're seeing this for what this is, and that is a vendetta against the president who is doing things that they would wish that they could have done, like an economy, foreign standing, and things like that. This just goes back to just a personal preference issue, and Adam Schiff is a more than willing accomplice to float a false narrative out there.
Okay, well, we'll see you Thanksgiving, Christmas, and everything in between, and maybe beyond that, because it's going to be a very busy time for you moving ahead and now as well. Congressman, thanks for stopping in.
Always good to be here. Thanks.